We're going to learn how to solve word problems involving interest. Now, when we're talking about loans, there are some key things you need to know. When calculating interest and how much you're going to get paid back, one is your interest. So when you allow someone to borrow money, you charge some type of fee for how long they've borrowed it. And we call that interest. This portion right here is going to represent interest. This entire portion with all these different terms. They all mean something different, but it's good to know that, hey, all of this stuff right here, this also just equals interest right there. Then you have your principal. The principal is the initial amount you give someone. So say my brother comes by and he needs to borrow $500. If I give him $500, that's the principal amount. Generally, you add on the fee after that, which is the interest. So you get more than $500 back. And that total number that you get back when he pays me is the amount. And that's represented by this big A right here. This P right here is the principal. And then if you want to calculate some type of interest rate, you need first the rate at which it grows over time, because of course if I don't get money for 2 years, I should be paid more than if I only lend the money out for a month, because it's harder for me not to have my money around for a longer period of time. So that's what this number right here. It usually it's a ratio, and it's usually a percentage over some type of time period. And T here is just the length that the loan has been out. So total time. Let's do a few of these problems. So, number 1 on page 11. A man had paid $165.50 in interest at the end of 3 years. How much had he borrowed at 9% per year? The problem gives you the interest rate, the rate, and time. You need to find the principal. Interesting. Okay. So as you remember, this entire thing right here equals interest rate, or your total interest. This is one of the formulas. We know 3 of these. So all we have to do is plug in the 3 and we'll find out the 4th one. They give us interest, so this one. They give us rate, and they give us time. We need to figure out what P is. So let's just start plugging in stuff that we know. So $165.50 is this number over here. That's the interest. Then you have the principal, which we do not know, so that's going to stay P. Then you have your rate. He borrowed at 9% per year. That's it. That's the key ratio right there. You know, if it's a per year, we're talking about the rate. So 0.09, that's how you put it in decimal form, over every year. And these are all times, of course, by each other. And the last part is how many years? It says 3 years. So 3 years. And it's important to write this units right here, because they're going to cancel out. Because if you don't write out the year here and you have a year down here, it's going to look real funky. So make sure you remember to do that. So these cancel out. Then you have 0.09 times 3. 0.09 times 3 equals P times this is a multiplication sign, and this is a decimal, just to be clear. 0.27. And of course this hasn't changed over here. So now, to get P by itself, we divide each side by 0.27. 0.27. So, what is it? 175.5 divided by 0.27 equals 650. The principal is $650. So that means you let someone borrow $650. They borrowed it for 3 years, and when they finally paid you back, they paid you back not only the principal, but they gave you this little fee right here on top. You made $165.50. Let's do number 2. How many years will it take $2,000 invested at 6% to earn $360? Okay, so let's use this. Let's use the same formula here, because they don't want to know the total amount. If you want to know the total amount you'll get back, you use this formula here. But if you just want to know how much interest, how much your fee is, and that's what they're asking for in this case. They're asking how much, if you have a principal of 2,000 on number 2, if you have a principal of 2,000, how long will it take to earn the $360 of interest on top? That's your fee on top. So we can just use this problem this formula right here. Let me read it out. How many years will it take $2,000 invested at 6% to earn $360? Oh, we're running out of space right here. So we're going to put it on the side here. We can do that. So let's just start plugging stuff in to this equation that we already have. We're trying to figure out the years, so it's the time portion, but we have all these 3 others. So it's just a matter of plugging stuff in. So $360 is the interest. That's this side of it, because that's how much we're going to make on top of our loan that we gave. The principal is the $2,000, because that's what you're going to be loaning out. So 2,000, and then invest at 6%, 0.06 over year times X. We don't know what that is. So now it becomes the very arduous task of multiplying everything together. Let's first multiply these two. 2,000 times 0.06 equals 120. So 120, and the year still stays down there. We didn't do anything to that. Equals 360 all times X. Let's go ahead and multiply this by years over 120. That way this cancels out with these. You have to do the same thing to here. So year over 120. And that becomes, I'll tell you right here, it's 3. 3 years equals X. So we figured it out. So just make sure you know which formula you're going to use, if you're going to use this formula or this formula. And that depends on, do you want to know the total amount you're going to receive, or do you simply just want to know how much you're going to earn on top? What's your interest?